can edit all this out. This is just for you. Does every deck need to have Eldrazi in it? Okay, technically no. The answer is no. But if I am building a deck and I have a way to cheat large creatures out for less than they should cost or get them out even faster than I should, am I going to do it? Yeah. Like, every time, yeah. I have an unhealthy obsession when it comes to big swingy creatures like Eldrazi. This is just like classic. When I first started playing Magic the Gathering, I kept losing to decks with Eldrazi. So maybe this is just like a trauma PTSD response. I don't know. I don't have a therapist, but I'm sure if I did, they would probably tell me that. That being said, listen. Turn 1 combos, those are great. Being able to pop off, doing the combos, doing the whole thing. Those are great in competitive decks, all of that, great. But for the lower levels, for your just casual playing around with some friends, Eldrazi are the thing of nightmares for your opponents because they are going to wipe them out. They're going to destroy all of their stuff. And we are going to be cheating these out, not through tax fraud, but through time fraud. Let's get into it. So, our commander for these shenanigans, not someone from Doctor Who or anything like that like you would expect. It's actually a little bit of an older card. It's Alaundo, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Seer. Guy's watching you. He's also watching the clock because that giant paragraph of text right there, you can pause and read it for yourself, but basically what it says is that you get to tap it, you get to draw a card, and then exile a card from your hand, and if it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend equal to the mana value, so you put the amount of time counters on it equal to its mana value. And then how time counters work, or how suspend works, is at the start of your turn, you then get to remove a time counter from it, and once all the time counters are gone, you get to cast it without paying its mana cost. So again, it's tax fraud through time traveling. But on top of all of that, Alaundo, what he's doing is he is allowing you to suspend stuff that, don't normally have suspend. And then after you do that, you get to remove a time counter from all of your cards. And if it's a creature that's coming out of suspension, it gains haste. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to suspend massive creatures with this, and then we are going to be able to cheat them out because now instead of only 1 time counter coming off per turn, you're getting 2 because of your commander's ability. That's adding another one. And we're going to have ways to manipulate our commander and get even more out. So that is how we're going to be committing time fraud. And let's see how we pull it off. First and foremost, we have our ramp. What is that? Herd Heirloom. Now, what's nice with this is 2 mana to 1 mana of any color. That's normally what we're looking for, 2 for 1. It does only allow you to cast creature spells, but that's fine. We got a lot of creatures that we are wanting to cast. What's really nice is at the bottom there, it says that basically, if you have a larger creature, you get to tap that and give that creature trample until end of turn. Rotating Fireplace. Now, this one enters tapped, enters with 1 time counter on it, and it creates a colorless mana for each time counter on it. What's really important here is number 4, or the bottom part where it says pay for, tap it, time travel. So time traveling, what that does, it's a Doctor Who mechanic that works really well with suspend. It allows you to either add or remove a time counter. So in most instances, we're going to be wanting to remove time counters from all of our suspend cards, but we can also add a time counter to this thing and then each time we do, the more time counters we have on it, the more mana we will be able to produce with it. So that is nice. Next, we got a Soul Ring, a classic, a card that I think every deck should have a Soul Ring. And then just a bunch of your classic green ramp spells. Circuitous Root, search your library for 2 basic land cards. Rampant Growth, 2 to get a land card. Birds of Paradise, taps for 1 of your colors. 3 visits, go get yourself a forest card onto the battlefield. Search for Tomorrow. This again is a card that you can suspend and then get out for even quicker. One of the most versatile, or ones that we will be able to break, so to speak, with this deck is Venture Forth. So basically, you run through the top of your deck until you get a land card, put that land card onto the battlefield, all the other cards, they just go to the bottom of your library. After you do that, you then exile this card with 3 time counters on it. Now again, with our commander and how we're going to be manipulating time counters, we'll be able to play this card over and over and over again, each time getting yourself more mana. That is nice. Invasion of Zendikar. It's a battle. Who knew people actually played those? This one is not bad. It gets you a land card, and then after you destroy it, it comes back as a land creature, a 4/4 with vigilance and haste, so you can use it how you want there. And then finally, we have Mawali something, acid moss. Excuse me. So in the last video that I posted, there was a whole debate on land destruction and how people felt about it. And most people surprisingly felt very fine with land destruction. So I'm a man of the people. I now have some land destruction in here. It's land destruction that's also getting you a land, so that's kind of a 2-for-1 double whammy right there. And to be fair, Wizards of the Coast has decided these days to make more and more powerful non-basic lands. Even something as simple as like a Rogue's Passage. If an opponent has a Rogue's Passage, if they have like a commander that does something when it deals combat damage, or just most decks have cards in there that want to connect, that want to do combat damage. Having something like a Rogue's Passage guarantees you'll be able to connect, makes it unblockable. So having things like this to destroy target lands, I get it. I'm for it. If people aren't rule zeroing it out, then frickin' go for it. Speaking of destruction, we do have some destruction pieces because we want to be able to deal with our opponent's shenanigans. We can do shenanigans. We do not like our opponents doing shenanigans. Break down the door. Yeah. Get through that thing. Exile target artifact or exile target enchantment, or you can manifest dread. We're probably just using this to deal with the artifact or enchantment. Acidic Slime, classic card, 5 mana, but it's a 2/2 with Death Touch, nice blocker there, and you can either destroy an artifact, enchantment, or a land. Some more land destruction, not intentional, but it is land destruction in there. Shattered Wings, 3 mana, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Some flexibility there. And then you also get a Surveil 1. That's nice. And then last but not least, a classic, Beast Within. Everybody knows it. 3 mana, destroy a permanent, and that controller of said permanent gets a 3/3. Cool. If destroying stuff wasn't good enough, we also have our counterspells. We're in blue. Of course, there are going to be some counterspells. Dissipate, 3 mana, a little pricey for a counterspell, but instead of just forcing them to discard the card, they are exiling it instead, so they have no way to play it again. Negate, counter target, non-creature spell. Spider Sense. This is the newest card in this deck, and one of the few cards from the Spider-Man set that wasn't complete dookie, because it's basically 1 mana for a counterspell or a stifle effect, depending on how you look at it, because it can counter triggered ability. That can be useful for potentially only 1 mana. And then last but not least, we have the OG Counterspell, just in the Final Fantasy art, which is probably my favorite art, or alternate art, of Counterspell, which, again, just as a quick aside, I am a sucker for alternate arts of cards. I'm curious though, how the community feels about alternate arts, because there's weirdly times where you can get the alternate art of a card that is like far less than the classic cost of a card. To me, anytime that I can get alternate art, I'm going to do it. But let me know in the comments below. Are you a fan of alternate arts, or do you just like standard art on cards? Curious. Reality Strobe. This is, again, another really interesting card that gets kind of broken in this deck. It's not destruction per se, it's not a counterspell, but it is bouncing a card to an opponent's hands. But after you do it, you then exile it with 3 time counters on it. And again, as we've been over, we are running through time counters. We are taking those off really quickly, so we'll be able to play this card over and over again and bounce multiple cards right back to our opponent's hands. It's a pretty salty card. If your opponent has like a big creature that they paid a lot of mana to get out, and you're now just sending it back and they have to cast it again, that's wasting their time through your time traveling. Neat. From there, our mana for this deck, we got a bunch of just basic lands, but we do have some non-basic lands. I'm not going to take the time right now to go through them. If you want to see the exact lands that I am running and the deck list, all that is going to be in the description below. Make sure you check it out. Build this deck yourself. The one thing I do want to note, kind of just thought of as I was going on this little rant, I do not actually have a Rogue's Passage in here, despite just talking about how strong a Rogue's Passage can be. So, yeah, big L in the chat for me, but such is life. Now, from there, this is objectively the most important part of this deck. What makes this deck so strong is obviously our commander has a strong effect, and we want to be able to use it over and over and over again, because every time that he taps and you put something else in, that you suspend something else, you are also getting to remove a time counter from all of the other suspended cards you have. So we want to be able to do that over and over and over again as many times as possible. So first, we have Dramatic Reversal. Untap all non-land permanents you control, so you get to tap him again, but also if you have Mana Rock, Soul Rings, things like that, you get to use those again. Mobilize, same deal. 1 mana, untap all your creatures. That's great. Witch's Web, a little bit more. 2 mana, untap. It says a bunch of different things. All we care about is untapping target creature. Obviously, that creature is going to be our commander. Untap him, tap him again, remove more time counters. This is going to become a theme here. Shore Up, 1 mana. Gives it hexproof, all that, doesn't matter. Untap it. That's what we care about. Sudden Spinnerets, again, 1 mana, untap target creature. Refocus, 2 mana, untap target creature and draw a card. That's nice, getting even more for it, or more value out of it. Twiddle, 1 mana, tap or untap target land, artifact, or creature. We're going to choose creature. We're going to untap our commander. Arachnid, adaptation, 1 mana to untap target creature. Those are all great. These are even better because they are repeatable. Puppeteer, 3 mana, and then you can pay 1, tap or untap target creature. We're going to untap our commander. Clever Conjurer, 3 mana, you don't have to pay, you can just tap him and untap target creature. Patira's Seal, it does tap for mana, so it is technically mana ramp, but the main thing is paying 1 to untap target legendary creature. Kiora's Follower, untap another target permanent. Obviously, we're going to be untapping our commander. This one is nice. Jhoira's Timebug. You tap it, and then it does the whole either adding or removing a time counter. So it really depends on the instance. Most of the stuff that we're doing, we are just wanting to remove a time counter from our permanents. But in the case of like that one ramp piece that we had, we would actually be wanting to put a time counter on that. Disciple of the Ring, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, and then you can either have a counterspell, so repeatable counterspells for only 1 mana, but more likely we're just going to be using it to untap target creature at the bottom there. Thousand-Year Elixir, 3 mana. This is a 2-for-1, really. The first part is that it allows you to activate abilities of creatures you control as though they had haste. So you can tap your commander right away as soon as you bring him out. And then you can pay 1 and untap target creature. So you're getting to use him quickly, and you're getting to use him again. Nimble Claw Adept, untap 2 other target permanents, activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn. So you can untap him and untap one of your other creatures. That allows you to untap him. That's very nice. That's very, very, very nice. Kelpie's Guide, again, same thing. Untap target permanent you control. Merc Fiend Liege. This is going to be a buff to pretty much all of your creatures. +1/+1 if it's green, +1/+1 if it's blue. You're in green and blue, so that's going to cover pretty much everything. And then untap all green and blue creatures during each other player's untap step. So you can tap your commander, gets to your opponent's untap step, untap him again. That's insane value as the game goes on. Speaking of repeatable, insane value, retreat to Coralhelm. Every time you lay a land, you get to untap target creature. Tolarian Kraken. This one works super well with your commander because whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1. When you do, you may tap or untap target permanent. You're obviously going to choose to untap your commander. And what does your commander say? He says when you tap him, you draw a card. So every time you tap him, you draw the card, you do the thing, you suspend stuff, you pay 1, you untap him, you do the whole process all over again. The final one we have is the 13th Doctor. Again, like I said, we do have some Doctor Who cards in here. And this I've seen popping up in quite a few decks because they're becoming more... Well, not just becoming. There are a lot of ways to play cards from outside of just your hand. So all of those suspend cards are obviously they're being played from exile. So when you're casting them from exile, you get put +1/+1 counter on target creature. So you're buffing your stuff. As long as you have at least 1 +1/+1 counter on your commander, at the beginning of your end step, you get to untap it so you can tap it again. That is great. That is super duper duper great. Next, we have a Swiftfoot Boots. This is just protect your commander, use him right away. All of those creatures that we're going to be casting, again, like I was alluding to earlier, we have a lot of Eldrazi in our deck. We have some gigantic Eldrazi. We want as much of those as possible. So if we're already cheating an Eldrazi out, like a giant, 10/10 Annihilator, whatever, you can then do double major and get 2 of those. For a green and blue, you're already casting the Eldrazi for free, just through the time counters. And now you're getting a second one. It doesn't have legendary, so it doesn't die to the legendary rule. That is a great value right there. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. That's just fun to say. I don't even care that the card is good in this deck. That's a fun card to say, and we're playing with time, so what's not to love? Time travel. So, again, just refresher, we've already covered it, but you either add or remove a time counter from your permanents, and you get to draw a card. Nice. Speaking of drawing cards, Psychosis Crawler. We have a lot of card draw in this deck, and as we covered, every time we're tapping our commander, we're drawing a card. So now we're getting that time fraud, tax fraud, however you want to look at it, and we are pinging our opponents for 1. Inspiring Refrain. This card is busted in this deck, because when it gets played, you get to draw 2 cards, then it goes into exile, and while it is in exile, since we are running through all of the time counters so quickly, it gets exiled with 3 time counters on them. We're going to have those time counters taken off in no time and drawing you even more cards. But if 2 cards isn't enough, what about Arcanus the Omnipotent? Draw 3 cards. Even freaking better. Surge of Brilliance, absolute brilliance. Draw a card for each spell you've cast this turn from anywhere other than your hand. If you have a turn where you realize you're about to pop off, you have like 3, 4, 5 cards that all have like 1 time counter on them left. You know that you're going to be casting a bunch of them for free. You can then cast this and draw a ton of cards. Excuse me. All of history, all at once. Time travel, we already covered what time travel does, but it has storm. So again, just like that previous analogy, if you have 4 or 5 cards that are all getting cast for free, that will add to the storm counter, and you'll be able to remove even more counters with that. Fauna Shaman, this is nice. Discard a card, and then it's a repeatable tutor. Go tutor for those giant Eldrazi, put them in your hand, exile them, cheat them out for free. These are just kind of some of our game enders here. Preposterous Proportions, 7 mana to make all of your creatures 10/10s with Vigilance. The Vigilance is nice. The 10/10 is more important, but probably even stronger. We have Overrun for 5 mana. It gives you creatures +3/+3 and Trample. If you already have an Eldrazi, it's like 10/10, 12/12, whatever. 15/15 now with Trample. GG's. Game over. Your opponents are cooked. Finally, this is the best part of the deck. These are the giant creatures that we are going to try and cheat out and just run over your opponents with. Triplicate Titan, 9 mana, we don't care. It's a 9/9 with flying and trample. That's what we care about. Nezhal Primal Tide can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size, and you're getting to draw cards whenever your opponents cast non-creature spells. So we'll probably end up drawing quite a few cards. Rust Goliath, it has prototype. We don't care about that. What we care about is that we are getting a 10/10 with reach and trample. Hullbreaker Horror, this is a classic card. It's kind of, it can be busted. It can be comboed with. We're not really doing that, but we will be irritating with it and returning spells we don't control to our owner's hands, or to their owner's hands. Kogla the Titan Ape, it can battle a creature when it enters, so you can destroy something with it, and then when it attacks, you get to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Giant Ankheg, hopefully that's how you pronounce it. It's a 8/8 with trample and ward 2, but most importantly, it is giving all of our other creatures, all of our Eldrazi, our big creatures, trample and ward 2 as well. The trample is nice because if you have a whole army of Eldrazi that are swinging on your opponents, you do not want them chump blocking a 10/10 with a 1/1. Give them that trample, make sure you're getting through, and you're doing that damage. Classic card, Primal Titan. It's a 6/6 with trample, and every time it attacks, you are getting 2 more lands. That's some serious ramp. Also, just this alternate art, again, crazy. From the Final Fantasy set, love it. Now, my babies, the best part of this deck. Artisan of Kozilek, a 10/9 with Annihilator 2. Ulamog's Crusher, an 8/8 with Annihilator 2. Bane of the Bala God, a 7/5 with Annihilator 2, but really it's exiling instead, so even worse. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, as you already saw, it's a 10/10 with Annihilator 4. And last but not least, we have Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, again with really cool alternate art, but it's a 12/12 with Annihilator 4, and it's drawing you 4 cards. So, last week I did another Eldrazi deck build that was all about tax fraud through damage. You can check that out up in the link below there. This deck, again, it's a different approach to getting Eldrazi out. What I like about this is they're all getting haste as well too, so you're having this massive army and it is coming at you quick. Your opponents are not going to know what hit them. They're just, all they're going to see is a bunch of cards piling up with time counters. Suddenly, time counters are gone, Eldrazi running all over them. So, if you like crazy deck builds like this, if you're into this sort of like tax fraud, big scary creatures, toxic decks, things like that, you are going to want to subscribe and ring the bell notification, because every Friday we are bringing you new decks like this. Like I said, I got all sorts of different kooky ideas cooked up of how to get Eldrazi on the board lickety-split. So, that being said, like, subscribe, ring the bell notification, share this with your friends who you think are crazy enough to like things like this, and we will see you guys next time.